go. Nice to see you all. Welcome. I'm going to see if I can get this up and live on a few platforms as we're getting started and diving in. I'll check this in a second. There we go. Nice and live on the other platforms. We'll hit go, and that should be ready to rock. Awesome. Well, nice to see you all, and I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're taking a moment to join me. I want to start off with a quick story, and the story is a woman I met. Let's just call her Sarah for story's sake. Um, she's someone who had something she was working through in her life, and she finally got the courage to ask for help. Now, I don't know if you've ever been in that situation where you're going through something and you're challenged, but for some reason you're hesitant to reach out and ask someone for support or assistance. But that's the position she was in. She felt overwhelmed, she felt stuck. She was trying to figure out her next move in life, but she just couldn't, get her thumb on the pulse. And so she finally asked for help, and she described this. She goes, I met this person and they told me they were a coach. So I decided gosh, they'd be a great person to talk this through with. Now, what does she get? She told me, I was curious what would happen if I talked to a coach, but all that happened was I feel like I got some vague advice, a little bit of a pep talk, and they wrote out more or less a checklist of stuff that I've already tried. And so she walked away from that conversation not only confused, but honestly, she said, I was more discouraged than when I started. And the thought she had, I said, how'd that make you feel? What were you thinking? And she said, yeah, I started to think maybe I'm the problem. Maybe coaching doesn't work. Maybe it's me, is what she said. And that example is why I want to have this conversation today. Because when coaching's done wrong, I think it can actually harm people and, not only harm people, harm the industry, harm the whole situation. But when it's done right, it has the ability to absolutely transform lives. I was talking to someone this morning and they were asking me, what difference can coaching tools really make in the world? And I said, I'll tell you a story. My mom grew up in an interesting situation, interesting household, and she wanted, my life to be better than hers. And so she went and learned these tools at 24, 25 years old with my dad. And she studied them and learned. And let's fast forward to when I was in school. She volunteered at the school, and there were kids in the class that I was in that were getting, C's, D's, and F who were struggling. And she said, well, why don't you have those kids sit at the back table with me during the class, and I'll see if I can work with them. And she used coaching tools, and the coaching tools she was able to use with them, within about 13 to 16 months, those kids went from D, C, and F students to straight A students. And so when people ask me, what can coaching tools do in someone's life? She didn't teach them history and math and science. She taught them how to transform their identity of who they thought they were. She taught them how to take the labels they'd been given of learning impaired or ADD or any of these labels these kids were given because they were struggling. And she taught them how to turn those into superpowers so they felt that they had an advantage instead of a disadvantage. And by shifting who they thought they were and shifting some of these beliefs about themselves, all of a sudden they went from struggling to learning to super learning and became straight A students. It was amazing. And so when I look at that, the coaching tools have the ability to transform lives when done correctly. And so let's be real. Most people think coaching is some sort of advice giving. Here's what I do, or you should try this, or just stay positive. But coaching is not cheerleading. It's not therapy. It's not telling people what to do. Coaching is the art of asking better questions. Not trying to give people better answers, but learning how to ask better questions, that ask powerful questions that cause them to search and find the answers. It's really powerful when it's done right. It's a structured process for unlocking potential How do I get the potential of this human being to ignite? How do I cause them to tap into what they're really capable of? It has the ability to help people break through barriers, break through blocks mentally and physically and emotionally, and helping someone own their own transformation. Someone said if you tell them, they might remember, they might not. But if you get them to experience it and you get them to discover the answer, that's where the real magic happens. And so, I go out and do some research to figure out what's actually happening in the industry when it's done right. Well, according to the ICF, International Coaching Federation, 70% of people who receive coaching improve in performance, improve in relationships, and improve in communication. That's not fluff. That's measurable change. That's stuff that's actually happening. And so when I look at this, what happens with that coach that the young, Sarah went out and found? Well, my thought is coaching like that, how they were doing it, definitely doesn't work. And it's not because people don't care. It's because they were not trained properly. And so let me break down the 5 mistakes that I see most commonly happen when coaches aren't trained properly and what they'll end up doing that creates the mess ups in the industry. Number 1 is advice giving instead of coaching. This is when you give advice, you rob someone of the opportunity to discover their own wisdom. You don't realize how smart, how talented, and how capable people are until you start believing that they are. And you believe that you can help them discover that part of themselves, and you can help them discover the tools and answers they're looking for. It's really powerful when you stop advice giving and you start asking the right questions, which cause them to develop and them to grow. Another way to say this is imagine having a child and your child's trying to learn something. And as they're trying to learn it, you push them out of the way and say, here, let me do it for you. Now, your intention might be, no, I want them to grow. I want them to be better. I'm just going to show them. But what your behavior is telling them is, I don't think you have what it takes. That's what advice giving does with clients. You basically tell them, I don't think you have what it takes to figure this out. I don't think you have what it takes to improve in your life. Here, let me just tell you. Let me just tell you what to do. Makes you feel better, but it's certainly not coaching and it's certainly not helpful. Number 2, it goes along this lines where people try to fix people. They're not broken. They don't need fixing. They need some space. They need someone who can listen to them, who can guide them, and who can ask the right questions. One of my friends has been working on a ton of somatic work, and she said one of the most profound things I heard in a while. She said, healing happens naturally in the presence of an empathetic other. So often when someone's drowning, people start yelling tips on how to swim. They don't need tips on how to swim. They need someone to hold some space and throw them a life preserver. Same thing in coaching. They don't need someone to come in here and start yelling how to fix it and do it differently. They need someone to hold some space and ask them some powerful questions that causes them to actually start getting some insight into the shifts they can make in their life and have the courage to go for it. And you can guide them. You can shine the light and kind of show them some paths, but you certainly don't walk the path for them. You guide them. You can walk alongside them if you like, but you let them lead. You let them pick the path and go down it. Number 3, third mistake coaches often make when they do this wrong, they skip the inner game. You can't build lasting change without addressing the mindset, the emotions, the beliefs, the inside stuff that's going on. We try to tell them, here's a 4-step formula to follow, and as long as you do the habit, you'll get the result. You can't out-action a broken mindset. When you have someone who doesn't believe it up here, they don't think they're the type of person who can do it. They don't think they're capable. They don't think they're able. They don't think it's possible. You can give them the right tools all day long and they're not going to do anything with it, or they're going to half-ass it because they don't believe it's really possible. So you have to work on the inner game. And the inner game is what transforms someone from a runner to an Olympian, from someone who's dreaming of being in the arts to a prima ballerina. Someone who's dreaming of being an actor, actress to someone who wins their award. That transition happens in the mind first. When you interview some of the most successful people in any category, you'll often hear them say, I've seen this in my mind 1,000 times. That's the inner game. So coaches who skip the inner game definitely ain't coaching. The other, number 4, using a one-size-fits-all tool. What works for a Navy SEAL might not work with a burnt out mom. Now, trust me, they're both high performing humans who are taking on one of the toughest challenges in the world. That they have the same, but you need to be able to customize your coaching conversation to the person you're actually working with. Not just throwing out, here's my 5 steps for every human to always get this result. I'll tell you the truth, people are different. You have to customize to who they are and what they're going through. The final mistake coaches make when they mess this up is no structure or feedback. Most coaches, truthfully, are winging it if you watch closely and sit through a bunch of sessions. And when you wing it, you get inconsistent results, and honestly, you lose trust. What's the cost of these 5 mistakes? Well, lost clients, lost referrals, lost confidence, and worst of all, clients walking away thinking they're the problem or coaching doesn't work. If you've ever felt that way or thought that way, please know that it absolutely works. You are not the issue. You just need a coach who's properly trained. So at Performance Coach University, we built a better way. We have a very simple method we use that is the exact framework we've taught coaches, leaders, teachers, professionals all over the world. We've certified hundreds of coaches in over 30 countries. I have active clients in 140 countries, 137 countries around the world. It's incredible. There's places I've never been that people are using our work to better their life, to better their business, to really step up and expand what they're capable of. It's such an honor. 4 powerful steps in this method. Number 1, we always teach what the tool is, as simple as that sounds. So what is the tool? Every session starts with clarity. Is this a values exercise? Is this a belief breakthrough? Is this an identity shifting strategy? You'll know exactly what tool you're using. And the customization, you'll know exactly when to use it and when not to use it. I think when not to use it is just as important nowadays, because when you're working with someone, you need to know when this tool actually applies, and you need to know when it's not a good idea. You have to be able to customize the session to the client to make sure it really fits what they're going through in their unique moment of life. Second piece we always cover is why? How do we anchor this in meaning so you know how impactful this tool can be? So clients don't change from information. They change from a transformational experience. I can tell you what skydiving's like all day long. It's going to be amazing. The wind's going to be blowing. You're going to feel alive. You're going to be flying 160 miles an hour towards the earth, but you have the most beautiful, serene view of your life. And that's incredible. It's not the same as you actually getting to the edge of the plane, having your heart go 1,000 miles an hour, and then whoosh, you're out in the air, flying, and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. That experience is different than me telling you about it. Same thing with coaching. Coaching, you can tell people information all day long. When you get them to experience it in their mind, in their body, in their emotions, in their life, in their business, that's where the magic happens. And so the step we always take in step 2 is showing you how to get them to actually experience it. And we do this through sharing why the tools work and how they work, connect the tools of neuroscience, real life stories, metaphors, and experiences that stick. So you can have them do it and actually experience the rush of flying 160 miles an hour towards Earth, experience the rush of what it is they're working through, or experience the calm and peace and serenity, whatever you're working on with them. But you get them to actually experience it, not just listen and hear it, but actually go through it so they have a real experience. Number 3, we go through how to apply it in real life conversations. So we show you exactly how to introduce the tool, exactly how to guide the conversation, exactly how to navigate it when things get bumpy. Sometimes you're taking someone through a tool and they take a left turn in the conversation, and all of a sudden you hit an old trigger. You hit an emotional place that's beyond their capacity to move through. And you got to know, what do you do then? So we walk you through exactly how to move through it. And my belief is coaching is not a script, it's a skill. It's like, becoming a Michelin star chef. You have to know the right ingredient at just the right time to get, boom, the magic to happen on that call, the transformation to occur. The final piece we wrap up with every tool we walk someone through is accountability and ownership. What do you do now? You've walked them through the session. They had the transformation. They had the experience. They're excited to go put this to work in their life. Every session ends with a clear next step. Clients leave knowing exactly what they're committed to, why it matters, and how to make it real in their actual day-to-day life. Coaching, when we get together and do the work, that's kind of the huddle. Then you're going to take the information from the huddle and they're going to go run the play. They're going to go actually do it in their real life so that they can see how it works in real life situations, not just the huddle. And so we drop the plan with them. We organize. They know what they're committed to. They know what ownership they have. And they go out to real life between the session. They make the magic happens. And then they come back and they report how'd it go? How'd it work? Better than imagined? Worse than imagined? About right? What happened? But the process I just walked you through is how transformation actually sticks. So we make sure every tool we walk you through shows you exactly how to make the magic happen. And we've been able to repeat it with hundreds of people. So it's not just me doing it because I'm special or something. It's a process we've been able to get other people to become the Michelin star chef. I used to pride myself back in the day on my client results, what my clients have achieved. Nowadays, I get so excited when our coaches text me or email me and say, hey, I just got this note from my client. Check out what they did in their life. And they have this amazing result our coaches have been able to help them get. And so if you have that calling, I have a message for you in just a few moments here. But my belief is right now we're facing a global crisis of disconnection, burnout, lack of purpose. People are overwhelmed with information, but starving for transformation. They don't want another checklist. They want someone who can hold space. They want someone who can ask powerful questions, and they want someone who can help guide them forward in the stuff they're trying to navigate. And that's the role of a real coach. And if you've ever felt a calling to help others grow, I spoke to this amazing human being this morning. She's very interested in our program, and it was such a great conversation. She said she's been working in elder care, and she saw these people just sitting and often not doing a whole lot because they're old. And she's like, I just felt like there's so much more to life they can get. And I'd take someone who's been stuck in their chair, who hasn't really gone outside much, and I'd speak life back into them. I'd say, come on, let's go see the birds. Let's go see the trees. Let's go see the sunlight. Let's get out there. And they go, oh, I don't know if I can do that anymore. I'd say, well, you only find out one step at a time. Let's try. What would it feel like to have the sun on your face again? What would it feel like to get outside and experience life again? And she said, I'd see him smile and light up. And within, a few conversations, I'd see someone who's been stuck inside, sitting in their chair 24/7, who lights up and remembers what it's like to live again, to be alive, to get outside and feel some life. And then little by little, we'd work on the progression to physically get them to take the steps, to go outside, to get the sunshine on their face again. And I said, what happened then? She goes, God, they look so alive. They feel like they have life back in them again, not just sitting around slowly passing away. And I said, isn't that cool? She goes, I just feel like I have a calling for coaching because I already do this naturally, but I don't have all the tools you have. I'd love to have these tools so I have more things to work on with these people and really breathe life into them. I said, that is so cool. And so that's one of the reasons PCUs exists, why this course and program was put together in the first place, is to train coaches with structure, science, and soul. The number one thing I look for when I do quick 15-minute interviews to find out if people are the right fit to go through the program is, do they care? Do they genuinely care about other human beings? Do they want to make a positive difference in their life? If I hear the threat of that, we're good. The skills we can teach. The heart, that's something you got to have by yourself. That's something you got to bring to the table. So if you have that heart, if you're interested, we'll make sure that you absolutely get what it takes to make that transformational difference in people's lives, starting with your own. In the program, you not only get the 48 plus coaching tools, but you'll experience them in your own life. We always say that the very first person anyone who gets certified ever coaches in themselves. Take the tool, apply it to you. Take the tool, apply it to you. Watch what happens in your life. So you have a tangible experience of living it, of seeing the difference each one of these tools can make in your own experience before you walk other people through it. My thought is the best coaches don't just talk about it, they embody it. They've truly lived the process themselves. They've overcome the limiting belief. They've transformed their own identity. They've gone out and they've lived this stuff. And that's what makes it really powerful. So If you've been watching this far and you're interested and you're thinking, wow, this is what I've been looking for, here's what to do next. All you got to do is send me a direct message on any of the platforms you're watching this live. We have lots of people on all the platforms that says clarity. And I'll hop on a quick 15-minute call, me and you, and we'll connect personally, talk about your goals, hear what you're working on, and see if PCU is the right fit for you. Or other thing you can do, you can send me a direct message of the word grit, and I'll send you free module 1 of our grit and resilience program, absolutely free. And it's a simple but powerful coaching tool that you can use right now, no strings attached, just to get an experience of what it's like to put a tool to work in your life and see what actually happens. It's about clarity. It's about getting you the right tools so you can help the people that you're meant to serve. So let me end with this. The greatest regret people have isn't failure, it's delay. If there's a whisper in your heart that says, I was born to help others thrive, this is your moment. Let's take the first step together. Send me a direct message, either clarity, and we'll jump on a quick 15-minute call, or grit, and I'll send you a link to one of our free tools you can try yourself and experience it. Thank you for tuning in. If you know someone who's interested in becoming a coach, please tag them in this video or share it with them. We'd love the opportunity to talk to them. My belief is coaching tools absolutely transform lives, and I'm on a mission to get these to as many people as humanly possible. They certainly transformed my life. I watched my mom make a difference in those young people's lives so many years ago, and I've watched hundreds of our coaches make impact in people's lives every single day in such a profound and powerful way. If you have that calling to join us, please do. We'd love to have you in the community. Okay, see y'all later.